Kann ich zumachen?
Ja, bitte.
You're good.
Ja.
Yeah, it's not so easy. The
Last
last one.
We renovated it in 2016.
Okay.
Just before we started, yeah. It was years before to store potatoes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
For a long time.
What an upgrade.
Original chalk, or what is it?
Yeah, it was just soil. It was just a soil floor.
Yeah.
And yeah, they had lived here for the potatoes, and it was storage room for potatoes for maybe 50 years. And before it belonged to a monastery.
Okay.
Yes. So it didn't belong to Steffi's grandma. She's
It was-
living on
yeah.
top. So
But it was splitted,
yeah, it was split and it belonged to the monastery which was there on the corner.
Okay.
And then they could buy it a few years ago.
Nice. And that's where you have all the red wines, right?
Yes, and some.
And usually the wines, usually, but
Yeah.
And you use only French barrels?
Yes, you can say.
for
No,
Länder.
yeah, we just started with a German Cooper.
Okay.
Could you bring your glasses? Yeah, for Riesling usually we try to use we love to use oak, especially old oak and bigger oak. But yeah, sometimes we have to buy some new oak, but then we try to just buy Stückfass or Halbstück,
Yeah.
so bigger volumes. So the oak influence isn't that big, and we found for us a perfect Cooper, which is called Assmann in Franken. So it's Spessart oak, the German oak. But for us the oak is always very, very fine. So and here, so that's always that's the vineyard
Hessigheim,
which
yeah.
always every year produces the Hessigheim Riesling. It's also spontaneous fermentation, and because of the temperature here, it's already.
Summer, right? Yeah, like
Yes.
Yeah.
It will start in summer.
Okay.
It will restart in summer. It's every year the same, because I think we have about 5 degrees now at the moment. Yeah. So fermentation stops. But for us, it's also very interesting here because the ripeness or the ripening of the wines is very slowly. And we will
And
have a
you-
second fermentation, alcoholic fermentation during the summer.
Yeah. But especially, I think, I don't know if it was a vintage thing or also with the vineyards, you see every year how they, develop, and especially with the Rieslings, they are going to start now with the fermentation to almost finish it within the end of the year.
Okay.
And the previous year they really they started slowly and then they stopped and then they restarted in spring. And I think with the development of the cultivation in the vineyards, they also started to ferment better in the cellar then.
It's getting better because it started in different direction.
Yeah, but you.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit purer, you can say, than the other ones. Even you already said there is not a lot of fruit, but I think there's just less fruit and more mineralic in that one.
Yeah, and it's also like little crystals almost on the tongue and the whole time. That's what really like little rocks pumping.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's really not so like it has a juiciness, but for a Riesling, I think it's not. The acidity is very well integrated and almost like covered. So it's really not harsh or not.
The interesting thing about our region is that the acidity level isn't very high compared to other regions.
No.
For example, it's lower, I think, naturally lower than in the Remstal, for example, because we are not that high. It's warmer here, so the acidity is always lower. But because of that, we try to use more whole bunch pressing, also the basket press, and then at the end, even the acidity level is quite low. You always get this crispiness at the end, so it's a very elegant acidity, which is well integrated. But the level itself is not very high.
Yeah, and I think that's where really Riesling gets more interesting. I think because the acidity is, I think it gives room for other aromas.
Yes.
Because the acid, you don't really concentrate on the acidity, which really like squeezes your mouth, like makes little holes or something. But yeah, that's where you get the more spicy aromas, I would say.
And also with the long time on the fullies, you get a complete different aromatic over the year, over the ripening period. So you get more this, more spiciness, more mouthfeel. Yeah. So we never do any batonnage or something like this. We just let it sit on the fullies. It's enough protection for us. Never gets any sulfur until bottling. So we always try to get this little oxidative characteristics in our wines. So they're never not really not like a wine from Shiraz or something like this, but you have an oxidation over the time, but it also helps us to avoid primary fruit, which we don't want to show.
Yeah, but that's what I also said in the other room, that I expected a bit more yeastiness or a bit more yeasty character, but the wine doesn't have it. So, I mean, if I concentrate on the texture, so it's quite thick, the wine, also this one. So maybe the leasiness or the lees contact is really in the texture, in the body, because it has like a coat almost, but it's not in the aromas.
The taste,
exactly. Like if you have a triangle, you have the spicy aromas, this minerality, and also a little bit of like yeasty aromas, but it's not. So it's about balance. It's like and it's floating because of the acidity. It's very beautiful. So nice.
That's what we try to achieve, because we don't want to have it that yeasty or that it's getting too thick.
Yeah, we always, as I said, we want to express the soil and the variety with the wines, and don't show any wood or yeast or something. So keep the wines quite pure. So that's the idea.
Cool, huh?
Just check if it's ready to try or not. I don't know.